Now the rolling hills of Kwatlanga, a picturesque backdrop for the approaching battle as Cup Dreams take flight this afternoon. Only 3 All Premiership ties in the last 16 of the Nedbank Cup, and many have identified this clash as the pick of the bunch. TS Galaxy hosting Mamelodi Sundowns as they cross paths in the Cup of Dreams for the very first time. And with that, a warm welcome to the Solomon Maflanga Stadium, wonderfully intimate venue nestled in the heart of the community. This was the stage for Galaxy's successful first round outing against Marumo Gallants. Rockets fans on that day, a clear majority, but we're not all too far outside of Pretoria here amongst the rolling hills of Kwatlanga. And Sundowns have attracted a sizable contingent of yellow-clad fans, of course eager to see them build on what has been an incredible past week, progressing to the Champions League knockout rounds against the odds before reasserting themselves in the title race with a midweek victory over Orlando Pirates, although there are question marks around how much of a toll that would have taken on the team. And indeed, when you see the lineups, you will be get familiar with the response of the coach. For TS Galaxy, meanwhile, their Nedbank Cup victory against Marumo Gallants a fortnight ago is really the one bright spot in what has been a fairly dismal run of late. They have been beaten in each of their last 3 league outings, so they will be eager to turn the tide here as we take a look at their side, which reflects 3 changes from the defeat to Durban City a week ago. Opa Mutaung returns in place of Patrick Fisher. Roy Keita makes way for a returning Spesifik Madula. He's reinstated after his 2-game ban. Zlatan Mganga drops to the bench, and the teenager Spavadlo Ngwenya makes his senior debut for the Rockets, and it's a first pro start for him as Amanda Namini runs him through the formations.
Yeah, excited to see Ngwenya, who's certainly going to be very key for that transition. A 4-4-1-1 formation for TS Galaxy, and outlets in the likes of Mahlangu with their speed, but the defense, the likes of Ira Mahlangu Silva as well in the defense, maximum concentration required.
Many feel it's not much of a surprise to see so many changes from Mamelodi Sundowns, given the depth of their squad and their schedule. 10 changes from Wednesday's testing outing against Orlando Pirates, rather. The only survivor is Nuno Santos in midfield. Tata Subia makes his Nedbank Cup debut at left back. This is a 4th outing for Mamelodi Sundowns since his debut. Leading the line is the competition's all-time top scorer since 2008, Peter Shanley, a player who has tormented Galaxy in the past.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to get his form back on in the Nedbank Cup to score some goals alongside the likes of Itaku and Sabileng in front. A 4-3-3 formation that looks very competitive. Looking forward to seeing the likes of Santos, Allende, and Rosinho in that midfield orchestrating things.
So, Kwanazi, consulting with the 2 captains here, Kenneth Mamegwa and Sabo Tinani, the first team is expected to be alongside him. Lucia Bojana has scored against Mamelodi Sundowns in a cup outing previously. They met in the Carling knockout back in 2023, a match which TS Galaxy ultimately won on penalties. Bojana on the score sheet that day. The government on the touchline for TS Galaxy. Miguel Cardoso has lamented their very testing schedule recently, making note that it's been only 67 hours since they matched against Orlando Pirates. And let's not forget that they have an away trip to Amazulu coming up this coming Tuesday. So squad rotation imperative for Mamelodi Sundowns, as evidenced today with those 10 changes. So a lot of players who don't often get too much of a look in will have their opportunity today. TS Galaxy, though, they will be up against it. Perhaps the pitch and the size of this field today will be an equalizing factor. Have already faced Mamelodi Sundowns once this season. That was in the league, a game in which TS Galaxy were restricted from even getting a shot on target. Ultimately, Sundowns winning with a goal just beyond the hour mark from Arthur Sales, but they had to work hard for that victory. Galaxy, though, as they get us underway, have pulled off a few shock results against Sundowns over the past years, and Amanda, we know that this is the stage for an upset. It's the Nedbank Cup, of course.
Yeah, it's always full of surprises, and looking forward to seeing how TS Galaxy can actually sort of reinforce themselves in this new pitch that they want to make home. But of course, it won't be easy for Mamelodi Sundowns. It's such a compact pitch.
Now, Vigoga has been set on his way, making a knock-off intervention there, and has gone out for a goal kick. Austria made his debut against Old College in Sundowns' first outing of 2026. That was on the 19th of last month. Remarkable to think that since that game, they are playing now their 9th match this year. So that is in the space of about a month, 9 games. If you work that out, a game every 3.5 days or so. So the schedule has been very, very tricky for them.
It's a tricky schedule indeed, Grant, but I mean, if you look at the squad values across the league, Mamelodi Sundowns come up top with almost 700 million plus. So certainly you're expecting that squad rotation for the players who are given an opportunity to step up.
It's not good to Zinho. Players trying to really get a feel for it, particularly in the back where they do like to move the ball around for spotting those openings, but on the surface they might have to adapt their traditional way of playing as Lunga switches it expertly here for the Netlaku, who is rolled into good space, taken away from Shalali there. The opportunity may still have been on there for Netlaku when tumbling down, and now Galaxy seeking to come away with it. Flag raised against Victor Leswaro, who's trying to go just a little bit early here. Man who almost timed it correctly.
I almost timed it correctly, and he knows as an experienced striker, you have to hold the run, just choosing that halfway line to keep the onside.
Lost in the Nedbank Cup final against Mamelodi Sundowns over 5 years ago now. That was back in 2020 when he was still with Bloemfontein Celtic. Over the years, he has scored a few times against the Brazilian, 4 goals across 17 previous instances he's faced them with his various clubs in all competitions. This is Tiki Tabaleng now for Santos, who returns it to him. Tabaleng goes down. Pretty good position for a free kick. Nice work done by the man on loan from FC Dallas in the United States.
Yeah, this is going to be key for the likes of Tabaleng to really get close to their teammates, the intricate passing, the combination play, drawing an important foul very close to the TS Galaxy goal.
He has to make the most of these Nedbank Cup opportunities. Appeared against Gamora, but before that he had last played against TS Galaxy at the beginning of November in the league as the Tape organizes his wall. Zinho seems like the most likely taker. Opened his Mamelodi Sundowns account in the CAF Champions League against Remo Stars. They battered them 5-1 away from home in the preliminary rounds. And another potential option here. 4-man wall assembled with the obligatory draft protector as well. So it is Brazil and it's going to have way too much.
Good distance, I thought he went underneath it just a little bit, good power as well. And really get the ball to dip just in time to really trouble the era.
And against Gamora in the previous round, Mamelodi Sundowns managed a total of 27 shots. That was the most in the last 32. 8 of those on target, third most across the 32 teams who competed in the first round. Absolutely dominated that game, almost 80% possession. You wouldn't expect anything close to that today, although with that said, when these sides met at the beginning of November in Pretoria, it was Mamelodi Sundowns who were utterly dominant in that game. Now racing after it is the 19-year-old Mamelodi Sundowns, although he hasn't timed that one correctly.
I think because of how compact the pitch is, Mamelodi Sundowns are really going to try and hold that line to force that offside, so the likes of Ngwenya certainly need to time their runs.
Hails from the East High Academy, recruited him at the end of last year, where he's initially been playing DC football. Now he's actually been able to register until recently with that FIFA ban now lifted. They have resolved their issues with Jake Kone, and now permitted to register players. So Tip Kakor from Magesi is on the bench today for TS Galaxy. Calls out looking for options. Yes, Johannes. Back to Dennis Onyango. He's approaching 13 Nedbank Cup appearances, number 29 today for the veteran goalminder. He was a few months away from his 41st birthday. Now to play by Solid Sueño. Far side is where a huge contingent of Mamelodi Sundowns fans have gathered, but they have good support on the grandstand as well. Not a particularly difficult trip for them to make, much easier than it would be to get to Bombela. I'll give it away cheaply by Allende, and then upended to Silver Mahlambi, but no foul call, but this is Shadali there. He is straight.
Yeah, and as you build up to that possible opportunity in front of goal, you can almost see that the ball is bobbling under. There's no smooth rolling of the ball. Good play from Allende to really try and win the ball back. Timing once again from Peter Shadalile certainly needs to do better.
Peter Shadalile has scored 9 times previously against TS Galaxy. We get another look at that tangle between Mahlambi and Allende. Silver Mahlambi, of course, he started the season like a house on fire, but he has gone 9 games in all competitions without a goal now.
Yeah, I thought he could have at least gotten a few in the previous encounter against Gallants in the Nedbank Cup. 4 shots on target.
Now ball swept down wide to Junior Zindoga. Pursued by Sabia, and perhaps his presence was enough to just put the Zimbabwean off slightly as the other comes his cross. Mijanovic knows that this will be a very, very tough encounter. He turns 43 years old in 2 weeks. He's a relatively young coach by most standards, approaching 50 games in charge of TS Galaxy now. Today, in fact, he's looking for win number 20 in what is his 48th game in charge of the Rockets. Would be a very valuable free kick from a Galaxy perspective here.
Good work from Maduna. That's what she gets in terms of missing Gaga in that midfield. You'd rather have Maduna, who's very much also on that front press.
Gaga also has been in charge of Mamelodi Sundowns longer than any of his previous stints various clubs over the course of his career. In fact, he's approaching 70 games in charge. One of the best teams in the Medway Premiership in terms of scoring headed goals this season are TS Galaxy. So what can they produce from here? It's really drilled in straight sets. Davis Onyangolo. Maduna having taken that free kick. Had to track back and get his head on that ahead of Lukaku.
Speed awareness, tactical discipline as well, because he knows that he commits in so many numbers. You have to come back and give that rest defense.
He will be absolutely itching to put in a good performance. He missed the Nedbank Cup outing against Gallus and then the last to Durban City last weekend. That's after he was sent off against Kukuni United in the 1-0 defeat they suffered. So a smart idea from Zindolo, but hasn't quite executed it perfectly to plan. Sabia did some good work. As used to pressure is Tata Sabia. They debuted against Orbit. He played a couple of times against Al Hilal as well in the Champions League group stages. Mamelodi Sundowns, some disappointing results that actually put them on the cusp of going up. Here is Tata Sabia, he's in an offside position. And last weekend, getting the win that they needed against Rolando Mokoena's MC Alger to progress, as we confirmed for you that Sabia was indeed offside. So let's talk about this week, Amanda. They've had huge games against MC Alger last weekend, must win. Against Orlando Pirates, a 6-pointer, must win to close the gap to 3, lose the gap is 9. And now a knockout match against an opponent who, in the past, have been able to get the better of Mamelodi Sundowns on occasion.
Yeah, simply because they probably, have the same in terms of talent, and they dispose of good quality from both ends. But of course, I think Mamelodi Sundowns is showing that they have that little bit of squad depth, as opposed to everyone a quick turnaround as well in terms of preparation with a totally new squad.
Give us some insight from a player's perspective, because not an insult to any team, but every now and again in the league you might come up against a side that don't pose you as much of a threat. But this is several games in a row that have all had really high stakes. So I would imagine, as much as the physical comes into play with the quick turnaround, it's a mental thing as well.
Absolutely, because it demands that you rest. Sometimes the physical rest is not enough. You need to also just switch off in terms of that mental capacity. This is a physical battle we're here to see. Maduna and then in that midfield really bossing it to really try and get the ball possession. But once again, we have to tap back into the squad professionals, how it is that they recover. So it's quite important to exercise that regeneration from a squad capacity.
Santa Silva working it out to Letsuenyo, trying to set that swallow on his way. Watched back nicely by Divine Lunga.
When you look at the tactical flexibility as well, and players just playing numerous positions, you look at Lunga this afternoon playing the centre-back position. That just goes to show as well that we have to be a little bit versatile as players to play in different positions in this kind of sport.
The responsibility he has shouldered previously, as Sevilla makes a bit of a hash of it, and it will be a Galaxy corner. Still only a teenager, Tata Sabia, and those kind of mistakes will still be part of your game.
Yeah, it's very normal. Any player goes through that to really try to have a swing at that clearance, because I think it was very sure that there was a player behind him, so you can't take any chances.
Torben awaiting a good delivery from Maduna that is far from it. In fact, it's curled out of play and then back in. So it will be Dennis Nyango's goal kick. Just Galaxy hoping to make the most of their home advantage, playing for the 10th time at home in all competitions this season. They did lose their opening game at home 2-0 to Durban City, who recently completed the double over them, and then went on their 6-game unbeaten streak at home, which included 5 wins. for losing out to Queen United at the beginning of this month, but getting back on track here, right here, against Gallants, the Solomon Mahlangu Stadium, which is the home ground of Catholic Stars in the United Foundation Championship. Speaking of Catholic Stars, they'll be away to Orlando Pirates in today's 6 p.m. kickoff as Sindonga turns on the afterburners to try and keep that one alive. Very nearly did so.
And those are the finer details for this afternoon to make sure that the weight of the pass, the precision as well, those technical touches on the ball. The pitch is quite intimate, and of course, Sindonga looking for those wide spaces, and I guess it just neutralizes for everybody. Mamelodi Sundowns really also want to operate in the wide areas to get the crosses. TS Galaxy thrive from the crosses.
Small Mamelodi Sundowns, 29th appearance in the Nedbank Cup in the PSL era. Now, the third most successful sides in this competition over the years. Most recently won it 2021-2022. They've done so in 2020 as well. 6 total victories for Mamelodi Sundowns, only behind Kaizer Chiefs, won it only 14 times, and Orlando Pirates, 10 titles. That's on. He's played it behind Zone. Well, no call from the referee as Allende is dispossessed. Maduna. He's worked out to Zone. Sindonga. Has been looking confident with a few touches as he's had, combined with Maduna a moment ago. Now Allende. Measuring the ball to Leklaku, who from quite some distance out sought to place that in the bottom corner with no real power. In Tabaleng, it was appealing for the pass to be made.
Missed opportunity indeed. Tabaleng with arms in the air, really open.
Despite the narrow width of this pitch, Sindonga is having a lot of joy out on this flank, just in terms of finding himself some space to receive.
Yeah, probably has to play the waiting game, a little bit patient from the rest to really try and give that opening of an outlet for a quick switch and transition. He's always that outlet.
Sindonga in TS Galaxy's first game of the year. League win over Maruma Galaxy. They have not previously beaten in 6 matches, winning a penalty which Kate converted and setting up Netswala for that win, then getting his first TS Galaxy goal in the following game against Amazulu as this slipped towards the back post, but Onyango assured behind it.
Mamelodi Sundowns are not the best clearers or corners. And in past times, they have been punished. TS Galaxy from this opportunity.
Whoa! Speaking of opportunities, a return to live action, and the goal has come. Well, everyone is over to congratulate the young debutant, Spamandla Ngwenya. Anna Beganovic taking a real gamble in fielding him. But yeah, he burst through to steal it from Allende and slot it away like a seasoned professional.
That's exactly what he needs to do, Ngwenya. Won't probably get as many chances against a team like Sundowns, but if it is that they're going to give away possession like that, they have to be punished. And certainly, Ngwenya, good composure, good power behind the ball to convert the TS Galaxy.
I'm taking a slight touch of the toe of Malibongo Koza just to change the trajectory of the ball ever so slightly, but what a dream debut for the 19-year-olds. Last year was captaining St. Mark's, famous old school from this province, in the Kimatsepe Cup. And here he is in 2026, scoring against Mamelodi Sundowns. the last time these two sides met in a cup match, and in fact the only previous knockout meeting that they contested was the last 16 of the Carling knockouts in the 2023-24 season. Galaxy raced into a 2-goal lead courtesy of the United Parties Spiro Mahlangu and Mugisi Bunjana, but Allende and Sereno hit back with goals to force extra time in a game which TS Galaxy ultimately went on to win on penalties. Spiro Mahlangu credited with that goal, although it came off, remember him, Boutoil, the Moroccan defender, more like an own goal from him. But, wow, mistakes are plenty. They keep coming this time for the Rockets. Zio. Oh, short too much of it to the swallow. Maduna picks it up. Bunjana. The hosts not looking overall at all against their more illustrious opponents, but now it's Sundowns looking to get on the front foot. Strongly forward, so it's like cutting it back. And they've done just about enough to walk it in.
Yep, they just did enough, TS Galaxy, but once again, you look at that ball bobbling under. That first touch from Bitaku just disappoints him. Another opportunity going up again for Mamelodi Sundowns.
Maduna. Bounce. Favorite de Suardo there. Tao. Zindoga. Maduna. Swap by Sidia. Lovely from Santos. Allende now. Perhaps at Loftus, that would have set up nicely behind the defence for his luck to race onto it. There's not a lot of space to utilise here. Now Shalilile bursting through. Running along the byline. Tape has made a critical intervention there. Happy chassis from the back by Kirianis.
It's going to be very important for the likes of Mahlangu and Silva to make sure that in that defense, that intricate passing is definitely neutralized. But here, Peter Shalulile really taking an opportunity to run onto this ball, but certainly need to get more numbers from Mamelodi Sundowns.
From Maduna. He's really revived his career with the TS Galaxy versus Maduna. The fact that they are taking such care of supporting his neck hints at the fact this could be a very serious issue.
I think it's also very important to take immediate precautions, not really try to wait. He seems to be having a little bit of trouble with the chest, and I mean, it is really hot as well, the conditions this side, so it could be one of those.
Zinoga. This time to get past Sevilla. Appears to be struggling a little bit with the power that Junior Zinoga brings to the party.
Yeah, I was thinking Sevilla has really burst into the scene, showing great physicality, showing great strength as well in his defensive duties, but Sindonga showing great experience.
Sisiki Magula, by the way, has gone all the way down the tunnel to be stretched it off, so they're operating a man right, but they're on the front foot here. TS Galaxy, Bunjana, Mutau. Mahlambi, intercepted by Divine Lunga. Green was really quick to close him down.
I think they know very well that Sundowns like to build from the back, and hence immediately they set those pressing traps and put a lot of pressure.
Zeno working it out to the flank. Now Allende spotting Santos in space. Zeno leaves it. Allende just couldn't pull his feet out in time to shoot, but does get the free kick. That's right on the edge of the area.
It's a missed opportunity for him to pull the trigger. To show he was still trying to set himself up. TS Galaxy did really well to get those numbers behind the ball, denying him a shot, and still drawing a foul. Allende.
So a second direct free kick opportunity, a little closer in earlier in the game, a little more central as well. Favoured the left footer, favoured Zeno last time around, and now it seems as though Nuno Santos has laid claim to this one. And we will turn 27 in just over a week's time. Portuguese, Nuno Santos. Oh, what an area that's been assembled here. 5 or 6 man wall for TS Galaxy. Pseudo wall of Mamelodi Sundowns that will crumble as soon as the ball is struck, I'm sure. By the way, outside of your pictures, Sisiki Magula must have had some terrific patch-up work done in the change room, because he's actually waiting to return, which is why TS Galaxy did not pull the trigger in terms of making that change. The goal down. Santos so close to putting them back level.
They're inching closer. They're really trying to find their range. Once again, you see the technical ability, good technique in terms of really trying to go over the ball.
TS Galaxy have only won twice outright against Mamelodi Sundowns in 12 previous meetings, and both instances have been by a single goal margin. The opening game of the 2022-23 season was very early in that season, away to Mamelodi Sundowns. Lifa running on their counter-attack, where Siad Romovic introduced the general public to the phrase Catenaccio. And then more recently, Sidibini with an excellent goal in the first game of last season. TS Galaxy a bit more better stadium. Kind of shootout goal as well in the Carling knockouts 2 seasons back. But all told, it is Mamelodi Sundowns who have dominated this particular fixture and have won by some very, very heavy margins in the past. Now Johannes Jacinho to Allende. He's given it away again as Marcelo Allende.
Yeah, it's still by TS Galaxy. Tanzania this time around, coming back, dropping into that midfield to really do the hard work.
Johannes is first recipient of a yellow card. Oh, delivered it directly into the box. That's Mahlambi. Still Mahlambi. Teasing Sevilla. Makes the challenge in the box. Referee, no hesitation in pointing to the spot. Galaxy with an opportunity to go 2 up.
Oh, and Mahlambi loves those 1v1 situations. Really isolates the defender. This time around, going up against the young Sevilla. Couple of step overs, really trying to shrug off Sevilla. Indeed, he misses the ball. And certainly a penalty.
Ana Beganovic is beside himself with joy at the chance to go 2 up. 12 previous meetings between these two sides. There's only been one instance where TS Galaxy has scored twice against Mamelodi Sundowns, and that was that Carling knockout fixture back in 2023, the only other cup game that they have contested. Junior Zindonga scored a worldie against Amazulu to open his account for TS Galaxy. That's at the end of last month. Now, with a huge opportunity here in this Nedbank Cup match against Onyanga, sends him the wrong way, and the Rockets have propelled themselves into a 2-goal lead.
Great composure shown by Zindonga, stepping up to take the responsibility to put TS Galaxy ahead. You have to admire the individual brilliance of Mahlambi taking on the defender, forcing him to commit. Certainly wins that penalty for TS Galaxy.
Well struck by Zindonga. The Galaxy has scored 2 before the break, having come into this game without a first half goal in their last 7 matches across all competitions. And the last time they scored a first half goal was the 23rd of November. Ditejani now departed in the 17th minutes against the 1-4 Golden Arrows. Head back, Mamelodi Sundowns. Allende straight into the head of Rocket skipper Gunjana. No one expected a 0-0 draw. There's never been a 0-0 draw at a dozen previous meetings between these two sides. And so, a terrific opening 30 minutes here. Now Rosinho. Allende is outside. Back to Rosinho, finding Santos on the edge of the area. He's into the path of Nsabaneng. Independent towards Koza. Johannes wins it in the air. Mahlambi almost escapes with it. Quenya misplaced his pass after initially executing a really good touch. Going back to retrieve this Laco, who will turn 20 next month. Think about how long it's been since he was introduced to us, since he burst onto the scene. He's still technically a teenager. Sibia. Lungana. Zio, Koza. Santos. Sabadell. Santos. Okay, nicely to Letlako, still Santos now. Allende. Seeking to drill it across. We'll get a corner. In it comes, Peter Shalolile beats it to it in the air. Sundowns in the last 16 for the 26th time in the PSL era, the Nedbank Cup, and for a 7th season in succession. But will they be able to progress beyond this point? They do have a terrific record in the last 16 in the PSL era since 1996-97, which we'll expand on in just a moment. Here is Ayende Letlaku. Brief appeal for offside, and there's Spesiki Maduna has done some good defensive work. The Mamelodi Sundowns in the last 16, including wins and losses on penalties, have played 25 times, have won 21 times, and have only been knocked out at this stage on 4 occasions. That was back in 1996-97 again. A couple of years later, 1998-99, then in 2009, and most recently in 2017, they lost to the Montfort Golden Arrows. But since 2016-17, they, when reaching the last 16, have not been knocked out at this stage. And they have made it to at least the quarterfinals every season since 2019, when Chipper United eliminated them in the first round. So that is at the very least the last 8 for the past 6 seasons.
It's quite interesting that in the past 6 seasons, how many times they've been runner-ups.
As well, yes.
Yeah.
And tell you that a reason the noise that was just risen ever so slightly, you might be able to pick it up in the last 10 seconds or so, is that Brian Leon has been sent to warm up. He's a man who has been in such hot form since joining Mamelodi Sundowns already. Half a dozen goals for the Colombian, who has scored each of their last 4 in all competitions. Twice against Orlando Pirates, race against FC Alger. Yeah, Shalolile. Still, Peter Shalolile with the ball at his feet. That's off Macbeth Matlangu. And born and raised in this region, the Kwandebele region, more specifically Kamarafia. Well, the Klapu did provide an assist in the first round. Taking this corner short. Set up Peter Shalolile with a 2-1 win against Camora. Didn't have it all their own way against Camora United in the last 32 either, as it's carried forward here by Ntabale. Ayende. Oh, floated forward beautifully by Ayende. Just kicked over the top of the defence. Peter Shalolile couldn't get a telling touch.
The timing of the delivery, the pass, the weight as well. Really spotting Peter Shalolile. A missed opportunity for Peter Shalolile. Open and really breaking that offside line.
Resinho drilled to the feet of Letlaku, who's misplaced his pass. Here's Ngwenya. He's asking far too much of Zindoga, who just implores him to calm down a little.
No offside at all.
Yeah.
He sees that the pass is coming. Does the right thing as a striker to really try and return back and make sure that you're onside. Misses.
Exceptional movement there to stay onside. Shuffled a couple of steps backwards before making that run. 15 goals in the Nedbank Cup since 2008 for Peter Shalolile. He is the outright leader in terms of goals in the Nedbank Cup era, in addition to his current guys, current sponsorship since 2008. He scored against Gaborone. It was the first time scoring in the Nedbank Cup since 2023 when he netted a hat-trick in a win over Maruwa Gallus at this very same stage, the last 16. That goal against Gaborone also means he's Sundowns' outright top scorer in the Nedbank Cup, eclipsing the 11 goals Shopo Kekane has. For Chandelier, it's 12 for Mamelodi Sundowns and 3 in the colours of Highlands Park. And his Nedbank Cup goals come at about a goal every 2 games. 15 goals in 26 appearances in this competition. Yango finding Sibia. Santos. Goal on the ball. Set up very nicely from Chandelier's perspective, not so much from Mahlang with the backspin on that. The way that Santos punted that ball forward, the technique on it, made things very tricky for the defense.
Yeah, I think you can make those kinds of passes. You have to give it a little bit of a spin so that it comes back to the teammate you're passing. Of course, Mahlang with his experience as well. Timing certainly gets him down. But that's just the quality of some of the individual players of Mamelodi Sundowns.
Samleng in a battle with Opamutong. Samleng, who played reserve league football for Mamelodi Sundowns and then Kaiser Chiefs in the Disney Challenge before moving on to the United States. There is Allende, comes shut down. Has netted since September, Marcelo Allende, win on Durban City. There's a look at the earlier incident, Amanda.
Yeah, you can really see the spin of the ball and immediately gets on the ground, holds up a little bit. Goalkeeper, Ira Mahlang, just a little bit of miscommunication there.
Now a chance for TS Galaxy to bag a third. Nice idea from Mahlambi. Be confident after winning that penalty. Duna joining Johannes in the referee's book. Very nice.
Yep.
Samleng moves it on neatly here for Allende. Breaks for Santos. Letla. Santos ball in. Spotted it.
The decision making from the attacker this time around had Johannes who was overlapping, could have maybe threatened the ball who chooses to go directly. I guess the execution just really lets it down.
Forward near the top, it met by Koza Allende. Lunga. Doing intercepts, but we're coming back for an earlier incident. William offering his apology to Lunga, but won't help him escape a car. A goal and a booking on debut. Now Chandelire almost racing onto that one. Mutao had to put a foot in. The ball could have gone anywhere. In fact, it did. Got back towards his goalkeeper. was able to make a comfortable enough clearance as we enter into 3 minutes of additional time here at the Solomon Mahlangu Stadium. Good win by Sabia. Done tremendously well here. Sindonga wins it inside the box. It's crucial that you get that right. There's Vizinho. Miles out.
Sure, it must be a little bit frustrating for the likes of Vizinho. They haven't really enjoyed much of the ball possession. They're really liking that midfield to get the passes going. They've been forced to take shots way outside their 18-yard.
Miguel also does it a very deep range. As Mamelodi Sundowns got to pull one back before the break. And the centres has kept it alive here. For Vizinho. Now Tabaleng throws it towards the goal of here at the top there. Makes a comfortable stop. Yeah, Volume perhaps hasn't been his best in 2026, but still a quality goalkeeper. Sabia. Darting past Sindonga. He's kept his balance tremendously well here. Tabaleng laying it off for Letlaku. Great pick out for Santos. The angle is there for the shots. Allowing the play to continue, but coming back to Mutong. And all of a sudden, in the space of just a few minutes, we've had Madura, Gunya, and now Mutong booked in probably the space of, I'll say, 4 or so minutes.
I guess if you are carrying a caution already, that is trouble.
Yeah. Tabaleng. Jonas. Koza. Time almost up. Well, quite the first half. Not many would have predicted that TS Galaxy would take a 2-goal advantage into the break. The side that hadn't even scored their first half goal in their previous 7 outings, but they capitalized on a Mamelodi Sundowns error for the debutant Spamandla Ngwenya to open the scoring, and then Junior Sindonga from the penalty spot. Amanda, Sundowns has a lot of work to do in the second period.
Yeah, a lot of work to do. Mamelodi Sundowns are a team that play with a lot of rhythm, and we haven't seen that. Individual errors or defensive errors as a team are punished. They certainly need to have a reanalysis and have time to make sure that they make those changes.
Well, they had to bring the changes for this game, considering the very quick turnaround time after facing Orlando Pirates on Wednesday. They made 10 changes in total. They find themselves 2 goals down at the break as